welcome to the first and new podcast series for the Filipino-Australian Lawyers Association, where we aim to highlight the unique stories of members of our community and explore their experiences navigating both cultures, legal practices, and communities. I am Diane Mapili. I am a law student at Melbourne Law School, and I am grateful and thrilled to be part of this year's FALAW committee and be able to host this podcast series for you. For the inaugural podcast episode, we are joined by Rochelle Castro, the inaugural and current FALAW president. She is a practicing lawyer in Australia, working and managing her law firm, RC Co-Lawyers. She specializes in strata, construction, commercial and property litigation, and complex transactions. We are also uniquely positioned to have her today to also share stories of how FALAW came about. Without further introductions, come and join us to listen. Hi everyone, welcome to our inaugural FALAW podcast, and thank you, Rochelle, for being an inaugural guest for our podcast series. The aim of this podcast is to highlight the unique stories of members of our community and learn from them. So, Rochelle, can you tell us about your journey to becoming a lawyer in Australia and what inspired you to pursue this profession?
Thanks, Dan, for having me, and hello to our listeners. I came here as a later lawyer, and my quick background of me, I was born in Philippines, raised in Canada, went back to Philippines, did my final studies in university, and I for 7 years, got to teach in various universities there. That's where I gained my peers and now longtime friends from the academe. So the different universities I taught in included UP Diliman, De La Salle College of St. Benilde, St. Scholastica, St. Paul's College. So those are just some of the many universities I got to teach in. The courses I was teaching was speech communication, humanities communication, and I even got to be a leader of certain departments. So very privileged, and I was just awed by the mentors, particularly in UP Diliman. I was just awed, but like a little kid. Every time I attended a faculty meeting, and I admired the professors there that I was rubbing shoulders with, and the Department of Speech Communication and Theater Arts. But the time came that I needed to look somewhere else and thought I have to look outside of Philippines, and wasn't really keen on going back to Canada. Had to look into another country, and my mom said it would be good because I have an uncle here in Melbourne, in Australia, and I had assessments, did my qualification, and lo and behold, I got granted a permanent visa, and then I migrated. So yes, that was 2007.
So did you come with your family? Oh, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just me. I was single. My family there. My sisters followed later on. So I have two sisters. Both my sisters are here. All their children are here. My mom comes back and forth from the Philippines. But going back to my journey, I before I migrated here, my close friends said, "Why don't you, when you go there, it's you got new adventures. Why don't you look into another profession?" And so I actually looked at the ads, and I saw there's a lot of opening for legal openings, like legal clerks, legal receptionists. And my uncle was actually encouraging me to be a migration agent. And I thought, if I'm going to study law, might as well go full on. I don't want to just study immigration.
Your market is the Filipino community.
Yeah. And so I said, but before I think about studying, why don't I try to apply? And when I applied, I actually got hired by a city law firm. And on the third day of my employment there, the principal lawyer actually sat down and he said, "Why don't you study law?" So it's like the universe was telling me study law.
Yeah.
And then the rest is history. So from there, the moment the year that I arrived here, I've been in the legal industry. And I can't believe it's almost 20 years.
20 years.
And yeah, almost 20 years. And the teaching part, I'm a teacher by heart. That's always been a very important tool in my practice.
Yeah. So right now we're going to talk about the diversity aspect of the podcast. So before talking about the challenges regarding cultural barriers, are there particular areas of law where you feel like your Filipino background gives you a unique perspective as a lawyer? Or were they key moments when you felt your cultural background helped you with your legal career as being Filipino?
Absolutely. So I deal with a lot that has to do with property. Obviously, there's different backgrounds And a lot of the issues actually have underlying, and this is not just in my area, this is family law, criminal law. So it's all about not just understanding the legalities of it, but also understanding why people behave in a certain way.
Mm.
And what so there's also a psychology in application of law. I really believe that. And where's a deeper understanding of why people behave in certain ways in accordance with their culture, or if you do understand their religion, even their religion, I believe that you are able to advocate better to the client, not just to the public, but also make the client understand. So it's not just about saying when you advocate for them, oh, this is because their culture is like that. You're also able to explain to the client why certain things have to be complied with in accordance with the law. Because, as you know, first of all, our job is with the court. We're the officers of the court before anything else.
Mhm.
And our job is to make sure that it's all about the justice, or the application of justice to the extent that we are able to explain.
I also recognize over time in law school that the trait of the themes and the main themes in being a Filipino is your family
Mm.
traits, so like being warm and like that kind of transcends to how you
It's
approach
true.
people,
Yeah.
being more personable, like compared
Yes,
to a more Western way of more transactional. So I think the
absolutely.
aspects of familial quality and being more personal, emotional warmth to everyone you like talk to is good. And
It's
I think
actually a
that,
really good point.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's innate already in being a Filipino.
Mm,
Approachable, and they can open. Yeah, believe
yeah.
me, they open a lot in my head. I don't really need to know that information, but okay. Yes.
Oh, also from like the good aspect, now like the most challenging aspect, you talk about
Mm.
like the earliest starts you experienced in your early career about cultural barriers. How about right now? Now you're more senior and you're more established. What challenges have you faced even right now as a Filipino lawyer in the legal landscape in Australia? And
They will
how have
always,
you overcome
yeah.
that? Sorry, yeah.
Unless they know that you've been in the industry, unless the person you're talking to, when I say talking to, it's either the party on the other side, or your client, or a judge or tribunal member. If they do not know that you've been practicing in this area for a while, they will challenge you.
Mm,
They will always challenge your knowledge, and I think part of the that's part of what this is about, what this business is about. And so no matter how long a person has practiced, they should be ready to get challenged.
okay. Like for right now, we're gonna focus on the FALAW aspect, the Filipino Australian Lawyers
Yes.
Association, and is I think the establishment of the Filipino Australian Lawyers Association is a progressive turning point in the cultural
Yeah.
diversity, particularly like putting a presence of the Filipino community in Australia. When I started law school, there was no community, and in law
Yeah.
school in Melbourne Law, there was not really a lot of Filipino students. So when FALAW started, it was like, oh, amazing! I'm gonna go in meet
Nice.
like fellow Filipino. I want to learn from them, and like I'm glad I met everyone there. And can you tell us a bit more about what Follow is and there's motivations, the purposes, its goals? Yeah.
FALAW in long, its meaning is Filipino-Australian Lawyers Association. It is intended to invite not just Filipino Australians, but those who are keen to be part of the Filipino-Australian legal community, no matter what their aspects are. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to be an admitted lawyer. It could mean that you are servicing part of the industry. It could also mean that you would like to be partners, because the goal of FALAW is to give guidance not just to the legal professionals, but also to the community.
Yeah, going in deeper to Follow, I wanted to ask you, I was curious about this. How was it formed?
Ah, a bunch of friends, good friends. So we were just sitting there laughing because we were members of another association, and I must give acknowledgement to that association. It's the University of the Philippines
Oh, the
Association in
UPAV?
Victoria, UP.
Yeah.
Laughing, laughing. We're good natured. We're all been admitted, and
Yeah.
then someone said, "Oh, Rochelle, baka naman we can put together a lawyers association." I'm like, okay, so why are you mentioning me? And then he said, but I said, if we do open up one, are you gonna support? What about you? What about you? Yeah, yeah, we're in. And then we started keeping our eyes open on who would be keen to be the part of the first executive committee. And we were very fortunate to have the first batch of executive committee from different sectors, government, the bar, private practice, and even corporate, a corporate company. So how diverse, and even community. Of course, I have to mention our Vice President, Michelle Martinez, Community Legal Center. So can you imagine how diverse? And I learned, and I continue to learn from the different members of our group, because sometimes you're so engrossed with what you're doing. If you put your head up, it's actually a lot of learning, and for the good, to service the community to the extent that it can service the community.
Yeah, I'm really curious about the short-term and long-term growth. And I'm really excited about the long-term. Or the last meeting, I was talking about the unification of like the Filipino-Australian lawyers as an Australian like community, and also fostering a Philippine end relationship. Can you talk more about the short-term and also long-term goals of FALAW?
Definitely short-term, two things: collaboration with different diverse associations, not just the Filipino-Australian associations, but actually the different other communities. I mentioned one, AALA, Asian Australian Lawyers Association. There's also from other countries like the Hellenic Association, Hellenic Lawyers Association, Australian American Lawyers Association. So there's a lot of those, the women Victorian Lawyers Association. That's just some of it, and also education for the public. That's the short term. The long term is national, and I have to mention Conjen Odette, who's been pushing for that. Go national, go national. That's the long term. We'll get there.
For the last bit, as the FALAW president, could you let us know about coming projects more than like the ALA and FALAW speed networking event? More than that, what are the projects for FALAW coming up soon this year?
Yes. We will bring back 2.0 of the Philippine and Australian property law general education.
I think that's very good.
There are topics that have come across FALAW's desk on employment, general guidance. This is not legal advice, general guidance. Also crossing immigration. We will also touch on a career development, not just for the legal industry, but it's like guidance, mentorship, and workshop. So the mentorship program has always come across our way. But there will be social events that we will have, and that's to support we'll start first in CBD, Melbourne CBD. The executive committee, you know this, Diane, will be going to different restaurants to do our socials there. Come join us when we make the necessary announcements. This podcast, this is a big deal because of Diane Mapili, Eliza Diane Mapili. I'm very excited. I'm just the start off.
Thank you so much.
Not just the young people, but those who are also young in the heart. Inspiration. I don't know, while you're doing an activity, a personal activity, you can listen to this. And most of all, I'll take this opportunity to those of you who would like to learn more about particular topics. Do reach out to us in social media and tell us, hey, FALAW, could you deliver a topic about this? We have a group.
Content.
Let us know. Let us know so we know which way to go. Those are just some, but not all of 2025 activities for FALAW.
But that's a good summary. But thank you, Rochelle, for the time today. I learned a lot too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for our first inaugural podcast episode for FALAW. And many thanks to Rochelle for taking the time to share her experiences and shining a light to FALAW's visions, goals, and projects. I hope you were able to learn many things as much as I did. Please subscribe to the next episode. Please continue to tune in to our next podcast series and make sure to subscribe to FALAW's social media pages to be updated. I am Diane Mapili. Thanks again and see you.